Hey guys, and welcome back. In today's video we're going to be going over a few games and who I think are the better bets against the spread for February 20th, 2017 in college basketball. Not a lot of action on the board today. It's a Monday here. Usually don't get all that much action on a Monday, but also a holiday, so that could be another reason why we're not getting quite as many games, but I'm just going to be touching on three matchups. If you're interested in what those are, I'll put them in the video description. And if you want more of this pick content in the future, you can click that subscribe button. Also, if you want to access our daily free pick, you can head on over to our main website, stumpthespread.com, by clicking in the logo in the top right-hand corner of this video. And I'll also link Stump the Spread in the video description as well if you want to go check that out. All right, so starting with today's video, I'm going to be heading into the Sun Belt matchup here between Texas State and Georgia State. Both of these teams sitting in a similar place right now in the Sun Belt standings. Georgia State just standing a half game in front of Texas State. The Texas State Bobcats not getting a lot of coverage, obviously, this year. Just a mid-major squad that's been having a slightly above average year. But this is actually one of the better defensive teams in the mid-majors. Texas State ranks in the top 15 in the nation in points allowed, and that's allowed this group to have quite a bit of success in the Sun Belt this season, going against quite a number of teams in the Sun Belt that actually are pretty solid on the offensive side of the ball. So that's really allowed this Bobcat squad to stay competitive. Texas State is 8-5 in conference, and they've actually shown pretty well on the road. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that defense travels a bit easier than offense tends to in college basketball. Texas State going on the road again today as they head over to Georgia State, who's lost 3 straight and definitely not looking as good as we saw out of them just a few weeks back. Georgia State's been really streaky in conference play this year, but they do stand 9-5 overall in the Sun Belt, and both Texas State and Georgia State are two of probably about 6 or 7 teams in the Sun Belt right now that have a legitimate shot to make a run in the Sun Belt postseason tournament to get that automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. These two are probably at slightly longer odds than some of the other squads, but we'll see how that plays out. So this spread was at 6 points, has shifted up to 7.5. Texas State will look to make this more of a half-court, possession-oriented game, really leaning on their defense to try to make this a lower-scoring affair. This one has the making of probably being a game that's played in the mid to upper 60s. Potentially for each squad, and with points coming at a slight premium in this one, and with the spread shifting away from Georgia State, we feel like Texas State getting the 7.5 points is going to be the better value bet against the spread in this matchup. Moving on down to another Sun Belt matchup, we have UT Arlington versus Georgia Southern. Coming into the year, Texas Arlington was the popular pick to win the Sun Belt regular season title, and even though Texas Arlington hasn't quite been as dominant throughout the regular season as some might have been expecting, this is still a group that's been putting together some strong results this year, and Texas Arlington does currently stand atop the Sun Belt in what's kind of a clustered up group there right at the top of the league. UT Arlington does have 3 defeats on their conference slate. Going on the road here against a Georgia Southern squad who's another one of the top teams in the Sun Belt. Georgia Southern right now standing just a half game back of UT Arlington in the Sun Belt, and getting this one at home. Great chance for the Eagles to try to flip things and get a half game lead on UT Arlington themselves, and also get that tiebreaker against the Mavericks, as these two teams have not gone against each other yet this year. Georgia Southern has fallen in 4 conference games, but all of those have been on the road. They're currently undefeated on their home court in conference play, and they should be able to give Texas Arlington a run in what should be a very competitive matchup here today. Texas Arlington is one of the better balanced teams in the Sun Belt, ranking around 90th in the nation in both scoring and defense, while Georgia Southern's been one of the better offensive teams in the league, but they have faded a bit on the offensive side of the ball as of late. Georgia Southern was ranking in the top 50 in the nation in scoring, but now they're down to more the 70 range. Georgia Southern, their offense relies a lot on the three-point shot, and it hasn't been falling quite as consistently, but also that could just be the fact that Georgia Southern's been playing in a bit more road games, which has had them fall back a little bit from where they were standing. I believe they started Sun Belt play like 7-0 or an 8-0 or something like that, and they were atop the conference, but now they have a little bit of competition from teams like UT Arlington, for instance. But In this one, behind their home court advantage where the Eagles stand undefeated in conference play on the year, we feel like Georgia Southern getting the 3.5 to 4 points here against a UT Arlington squad that hasn't necessarily always put up the great results on the road. We feel like Georgia Southern getting the points here is going to be the better value bet against the spread. All right, one more game that I want to touch on in today's video. It's going to be the matchup between Texas and West Virginia. Texas not having the year they were hoping for, one of the bigger disappointments in college basketball. Texas, many thought were worthy of a top 25 ranking back during the preseason. A lot of people were expecting Shaka Smart's squad to really start taking that next step as they progress under his system and as he brings more of his own players into the program. Simply hasn't been the case this year. Texas, although they have been competitive in a lot of games that maybe you wouldn't necessarily think that they could be competitive in, just given their injury issues this year and the fact that they haven't been performing to the standards that many thought they could. But Texas still having a really hard time finding wins consistently and also losing 4 out of the last 5. Texas, not a whole lot to play for at this point in the year. Going on the road here against a very strong home squad, West Virginia, they've picked up their fair share of very convincing home wins in Big 12 play. But West Virginia also has had the occasional lapse on their home court where they've put up results that you wouldn't necessarily expect. For instance, like their home loss against Oklahoma is pretty inexcusable for a team like West Virginia that not just has aspirations, to do good things during the regular season, but also to really make a deep run in the NCAA tournament. Recently, we did see West Virginia perform very well at home as they went on to blow out Kansas State. Had a little bit tougher time separating in their last outing at home against Texas Tech, but they were able to get the job done in the end of that one, winning by 9 points. They invite in a Texas squad who's arguably the worst team in the Big 12 right now. The Big 12 has a lot of parity from top to bottom, but Texas does feel like arguably the weakest team right now in the league. Maybe Oklahoma, you could make a case for them as well. But going on a road here into a very tough environment against a West Virginia squad that's really playing for seeding in the NCAA tournament as well as positioning for the upcoming Big 12 tournament, has something to play for, and we feel like they should be able to go ahead and separate and really frustrate this Texas squad with their full court press and up-tempo style. So we're going to go ahead and side with the West Virginia Mountaineers on their home court to go on to win and cover this large spread. All right, those are the games I wanted to touch on in today's video. Again, not a day that has a lot of action on the board. If you're interested in getting our daily free pick, you can head on over to stumpthespread.com by clicking in the logo in the top right-hand corner of this video, and we'll also link Stump the Spread in the video description. And for more of this pick content in the future, you can click that subscribe button. So thanks, guys, for stopping on in today, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.